Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Kacey. I am also known as Case over here on this channel. And Michelle, my wife, she is the other half of 26 and 0. We've been doing this for quite some time in the social media and YouTube streets. Social media, we started off here as Tulips Free back in 2007, 2008 as a concept. And we carried that name for probably about 4 or 5 years. And then we switched over to Tulips Freedom, and we carried that all the way up until 2022. And our lives had changed, and we had grown into several different people at that point in time. We probably had been three different versions of ourselves at that point. And so, since we were a bit more refined and a little bit more reserved, I was like, it is time for us to rebrand, and we're no longer Tulips Freedom as you guys know us. However, we are 26 and 0. And 26 and 0 is under the umbrella of 26 in Oregon. And if you don't know, I am an interior designer, and I own 26 in Oregon here in Atlanta. And 26 in Oregon has a boutique, an online home decor boutique. And that, I got a piece of hair on my neck, y'all. And that also falls under the name 26 and oh my gosh. So it was only suitable that the personal brand followed suit and went under that same umbrella that Tulips Freedom did as well, because Tulips Freedom under that umbrella was TF Style Homes. And, that did what it needed to do for the time it needed to do it in. And now we are here. And there's I'm not going to really say a long story, a backstory about how we arrived at 26 in Oregon. But in short, 26 in Oregon are the names of the streets that my wife and I lived on when we met. Plain and simple. As far as it concerns the interior design business, it's the intersection between her style and my style as well. So I'm a little bit more eclectic and contemporary, and my wife, she's contemporary, but she's actually more streamlined, and I'm going to say mid-century is her style. And so I infuse both of those together really well in my designs, and I get a lot of feedback from my wife, Michelle, MP, as you guys may know her, in the business, and that's what we do. And I wanted to pop on and give you guys an update. I've been posting a lot of shorts. I did do Freedom February recently, and that was a success. Freedom February brought actually so many different opportunities. I'm not going to say that. Let's rewind. Not so many different opportunities. It looked like I got a hunchback, but that's the way this jacket is made, y'all. And my chair is sitting kind of low. Um, and my office isn't done. But I was like, I'm not going to keep putting this off to come and talk to y'all and have like a real serious conversation and kind of let you know what's going on over here. So anyway, Freedom February, I completed that challenge successfully, and I was able to share that with you. And I know that from some of the DMs that I got on Instagram and even on TikTok, there were a few people that were inspired and said that they were going to do their own challenge. Now, I'm not quite sure if they followed through, if they completed it or not, but just the idea that people thought enough of the idea to do a Freedom February challenge and share with me that they were going to do or consider doing it themselves means a lot to me. Also, with Freedom February, what I noticed is that when I decided to get rid of, I'm going to call them release, when I decided to release some of these things, some opportunities landed in my lap, and some were in the works and I was expecting, and then some not so much. It just kind of happened, and my life and my heart has been full because of it. And I wanted to make sure that in the month of March I was able to give back. So Freedom February was a success for me, not only in the business on the business side, but also on the personal side. And yeah, that was a wonderful, wonderful opportunity for me, and I am still reveling in it because I'm still experiencing those opportunities. One of the opportunities that I have been able to take part in is forming a podcast, an all sibling podcast with two of my brothers. Now, if you don't know, I come from a family of five, so there's four siblings. There are, and I'll name them in the order in which they were born. I have the oldest, which is my sister Benita. She lives in Illinois, and I have my brother. He's the oldest son of my mom and dad. He also lives in up north, but he's in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. That's really where we're from. And then there's me, I'm the third, and then my younger brother, Nicholas, and then also my youngest brother, Josh. And so that is all five of us. And we, Nicholas and Josh and myself, decided to do a podcast called the Kacey and M Podcast. And we did record our first episode. We just kind of jumped on and did something at first, and we were going to put it out. But then I think when we went back to look at it, we decided that we needed um, some more refinement. Like, I don't think any of us were embarrassed to put it out, but it just wasn't of the quality that we would like for our first podcast. And we don't think that everything needs to be perfect in that regard, but it needed to be a little bit more touched up, if you know what I'm saying. So we did that. And then the studio, we do have a studio off of our garage, but the lighting just really wasn't good. The aesthetics weren't good. And so we moved the studio upstairs to my living room. So my living room is a bit of a wreck through the week. I try to put everything back in place, but it just doesn't make sense. My chairs are heavy AF. And so for me to keep moving those back and forth throughout the week unnecessarily, plus I also do other shorts and content in the chairs throughout the week myself. So it just makes more sense to kind of leave our stage setup the way that it is. And so the Casey and M podcast, if you are not aware, it is a channel here on YouTube. And so we did drop our first official episode that we were happy to drop last week Thursday. So make sure I'll try to remember to drop it down here. And I know I'm filming this in the vertical orientation. I actually meant to turn the camera the other way, but since I'm already here, this is where it's gonna be. And so we did go ahead and drop that. And part of the reason for doing the podcast is because, even though I know my brothers and my younger brother, not my youngest, but my younger brother, he and I were pretty close growing up. We grew up in the same household together. We had our regular sibling rivalry fights and everything like that. But now we're adults and even though we've lived in Georgia together and separately, we have very we have vastly different lives and opinions of the things that go on in the world and our personal situations. And then, since my dad passed back in 22, I've been wanting to get closer to my youngest brother, Josh, because he hasn't always been so close in proximity. But now everybody's here in terms of, my two youngest brothers. And I was like, we kind of command, I'm not going to say command because ain't nobody really paying attention to me, but our comfort zone is really the camera, the microphone, and the social media streets. And we have these conversations and these debates with each other all the time. And a lot of times we are left steaming, but never really mad at each other, but they're heated conversations. And, my dad was in radio. And I was like, wouldn't it be something for us to really continue on his legacy, doing something that is innately, um, which is instilled innately in us, right? And I was like, a podcast is our language. So, and that's something that we've all been doing. We all have a presence on social media. My brother Nicholas, he is an entertainer through and through. I think I've said that before. My younger brother Josh, he is a theater kid and he is a marketing wizard. And so radio is his thing. And plus, he was around my dad so much during his time in radio while he was growing up. And so he definitely learned the ropes in that regard. And me, I'm a people's person. Well, I used to be a people person. I used to love being and talking with people, but the older that I've become and the more interactions that I've had with people in the world, I realize that maybe I'm not a people person, but I do like to talk and run my mouth a little bit. I do have some controversial opinions, and I am one of those people, whether you like me or you love me, I don't claim to know everything, although people think that that is my stance. I might have a rebuttal for a lot of things because I'm a Leo. I have a very strong type A personality, and I just don't really like to be wrong. But I am older now, and I can accept where I can walk it back and say, you know what, I can stand to learn something there. Unless I'm really mad, unless you really done stepped on my feet and then I'm like, I ain't even really trying to hear it right now. I need a break. And that did actually happen last week. My younger brother Nicholas pissed me off so bad that I was like, you know what? I'm gonna walk away from you right now because I don't think that anything that I have to say to you is going to be nice, and I don't want to come at you in that way. And he was just laughing. It put me in the mind of us going back to our childhood days where he took nothing serious and I took everything serious. And then we get into a fight, tear up everything in my room. My mom would come in there hollering and yelling. And then, we do it all over again the next day. So I was like, let me take a breather. Let me take a break. Um, I ran some errands, got some fresh air, and then he bought me dinner, and all was well in the world. Okay. And that is what the podcast, I want to be able to show our dynamics, how we can still be very passionate and fiery about what it is that we believe in and how we feel towards certain situations, and you still yet talk to each other respectfully for the most part and honor each other's differences of opinions and let you guys see that this is our family dynamic, and maybe it's very similar to yours, or maybe it's not. Maybe we're a tad bit more dysfunctional than everybody else. I don't really know if we are or not. I mean, I have families that I can compare mine to, but I can't really say better, worse, just kind of indifferent. It's just a very different situation. And so being able to do this podcast with my siblings, my brothers Nicholas and Josh, I think it's actually a fun experience. One, I get to learn them more as adults because that's where we are in our lives right now. We are adults. I am a married woman and they are single. My brother Nicholas is divorced and my younger brother Josh, he hasn't been married. And so I think we all have different takes on the world around us, responsibilities, obligations that we have to family and spouses and friends and children. My brother and I, Nicholas and me, we both have a daughter. His daughter is 23. Hey, Aria. My daughter, Brooklyn. Hey, Brooklyn is 26. And so we became parents young. And so that also puts us in a different frame of mind than our youngest brother, Josh, because he doesn't have children and he hasn't been married. And he also enlightens us in ways that perhaps we didn't necessarily think about. But Josh also lived a very sheltered life. And so some of the things that we are abreast of, he's not, and his understanding of certain things in the world is vastly different than ours. And so we learn that about each other um, from day to day. And then I think we'll continue to probably learn more about that each other in a podcast format because it's a little bit more structured and we're just kind of doing it off the fly. We don't discuss these topics beforehand. We talk about what our topics are going to be, but as far as how the conversation is led, we have no clue. And I'm excited to share that with y'all. And we have received uh, some positive feedback about it, and we are, looking forward to continuing and growing and getting better. I am wanting at some point this. I want to turn my office into a studio, right? Just for me, so that I can come in here. Lights are already set up, and I can just get to recording because the way I done had to rig up this office just to get this to work is, excuse me, is wild. And there's a lot of things going on behind me that y'all are not going to see. I'm not even going to bother with putting a green screen back here. This is just what it is, right? It's what it is. So, what else is going on, right? So, I haven't really dropped too many vlogs, right? Because there's been so many things going on. I am in the process of doing some major changes, not only for myself, because I'm a little bit different and I want to show up in the world a little bit differently than what I have before, but I also feel like I have something to contribute in my own special way outside of you guys just seeing what I do on a day to day basis, cooking and cleaning and running errands that we all run. And part of me is like, I know that that's what my day ones are here for, and they like to see that. But honestly, there's really only so much that I can share that's really interesting. There's only so many beds that I can make up, so many floors I can mop, so many meals that I can make, so many random conversations that I can have with Michelle. And I know that you guys like to see Michelle a lot, but she's also busy. She has a job and she goes out into the world every day, and I'm home and I have a job as an interior designer and doing this content thing and working with my brother. So it's hard for me to kind of continue on in the vlogging way. So I've been releasing shorts out to you guys and just really trying to figure out how I can now contribute more meaningful content, more substantial. So maybe kind of incorporating vlog into business, into reality. Well, vlog is reality, but um I guess, relationship wise, in terms of like the interactions that I have with my brothers, incorporating all of that into one and bringing that to you guys in a more high quality, professional way. And so that's what I would like to do. I do believe that there is some learning curves. Our equipment, my brothers, they have professional filming equipment. And then I've got, to get some stuff on my end because, there's just all these things that go into really trying to produce content that matters, right? Um, Josh, he has the 1 billion streams movement. I want to highlight that. My brother Nicholas, he has his podcast and his filming. Well, both he and Josh do filming. And so just, music videos and music, just being able to highlight that, bring it to you guys, as well as incorporate my love for interiors and design and in an unconventional way. So, just wanting to do that. Um, I do wish that my older brother and sister were here to be able to join us as part of the podcast, but hopefully when we get to streaming live, and we don't even really have to stream live, but our goal is to start streaming live probably in the next month or so that you guys can actually see us unfiltered and unedited. I'm a little nervous about that because if you've watched the first episode, the pilot episode of the Kacey and them podcast, you will probably see that we cuss a lot. And we always say before we go on camera, you know what, we got to watch our mouth. We can't cuss. We got to bleep it out, but we just let it fly. And honestly, I think that that's just what it's going to have to be, and whatever shape that takes down the line, then that's what it takes. Hopefully, with us going live and maybe getting dinged, we're not monetized or or anything like that, but our hope is to be monetized at some point. So hopefully with us being able to go live, it will really put us on our P's and Q's. It'll put us on our square so that we can get better and better, because there's no time to go back and edit and take back what it is that we said out loud when people are watching, right? Or recording. And so we can't go back in line and say, I ain't never said that. And they'd be like, In the world of internet, there's no taking it back. You can't rewind it now. Right now, when we say something that is not PC, we can cut it out and be like, yeah, no, we don't need to say that. And a lot of times we say things without thinking because we are a very sarcastic and black dark humor type of bunch, but we are some of the most compassionate and loving and genuine people I think that you'd want to meet. And quite honestly, keeping up with the Joneses is really a thing. We are the Joneses. That is our lineage, and there's a saying out there, keeping up with the Joneses for a reason, and because we are some good people now. My thing is trying to keep up with the Joneses will mess around and get you effed up because you don't know what goes on behind closed doors, right? And while I think we live a relatively normal life, I think there have been situations where people probably would not have known that certain things happened in our life behind the closed doors because of the way that we have been able to present ourselves through the years, especially when we were children and into teenagers, with people knowing who my father was and our father was. So Josh, lived a very different life than us. His was a little bit more sheltered than ours. But one of the biggest reasons that living in Memphis was hard for us, my dad's first four kids, was hard for us was because once my parents got divorced, our life looked very different. And I can't really say for myself because I was still relatively young, but for my older brother and sister, that was probably a lot to digest. And how could you be, the children of Bobby OJ, and this is what's going on in your household, and your mom is struggling, and, things like that. My dad was not rich by any stretch of the imagination, but he was making money. He had money. And in that day and time in the 80s and 90s, it was definitely more than the average black household was making. And so there was really no need for us to struggle in that way. Um, but we did. I think it made us more well rounded, great people, great children. We are not unflawed. That is for sure. I think we all have our issues for sure, for sure. Um, and my mom did a great job. My mom did a great job, and her side of the family, my mom's side of the family, um, stepped in the gap and helped raise us, and then here we are. And unfortunately, you know, our parents had to pass in order for us to get to this point to really connect and to be able to grow. But listen, I'm all for it. However we had to get here, whatever lessons that we had to learn, I am all for it. I am when I say my heart is full, my heart is honestly full. And um, so let me rewind it back. So yeah, February, some things fell into my lap that were unexpected, and I was really happy about that. I was happy that I was able. Yeah, I can't take this because I swear it looked like I got humpy shoulders, but there's like a vented back on here, and so it's just rising up. And so um, some of those things I'll be able to share with you probably in about 6 weeks. I can share that with you. Because it's a milestone for me, and it's a milestone that I didn't even realize it was a milestone until a friend of mine reached out and said, Casey, when I was there visiting you, and I asked you, what did you want to see happen for a certain thing, and you threw this out there, and we just kept talking about other things, and I was like, yeah. She was like, well, don't you see it? It's happening. And I had never thought about it until she brought it up again. I never connected the dots. So manifestation is real, especially when I think you believe in yourself, and I think when you release things and open up your hands. Let me rephrase it like this: when you open up your hands to let things go, you're opening up your hands to also receive. And so, by me participating and doing the Freedom February challenge, I was releasing and accepting, and um, gracefully and happily and unapologetically, because I feel like I have done a lot behind the scenes that have not been recognized. And I think I was looking for validation from people other than myself, right? And once I realized that I don't need that type of validation because I am the validation. I've never been insecure, really. There are some things that maybe I wish I could have done better, or maybe I've put myself in situations where I wasn't the most comfortable. But I've never been insecure with myself. I've never been the person that's like, oh, I'm not going to do this because X Y Z. Except for like when I gained like a whole bunch of weight. And yeah, I have lost a substantial amount of weight. But if you guys have watched me for any period of time over the last 20 years, I have been substantially up and substantially down. And, I've always hovered around about 175 to 185 pounds. That's kind of like my norm. And right now I'm 79 pounds. So I'm still not like super small, but compared to what I look like over the last 2, 3, 4 years, I am substantially smaller. So I am about 40 pounds smaller than what you guys have been used to seeing me over the last 4 years. So again, I'm always up and always down. I can't tell you what the next 4 months are going to look like or the next 2 years. All I know is this is what I look like right now, right now. But I have been able to receive things and take them as they are and move forward. So I do look forward to being able to share with you what is coming through the pipeline for me. And the things that I wanted to receive from outside sources, I'm able to give to myself because of what I was able to accept in February. And part of my appreciation for just life in general and what God has put in my life and the blessings that He has been giving me and showing me for I don't know how many years. And when I started recognizing it for what it was, I wanted to be able to give back. And so part of me acknowledging what God has done for me and the blessings that I have received and the joy that I am just feeling, even though I'm tired and I might not be looking like I'm full of joy, but I'm having fun over here and immensely grateful for the life that I've lived and the life that I have. I decided to do a March Madness giveaway for people that follow me, and primarily on TikTok. But it's really for anybody that follows me anywhere, where I am giving away the opportunity to get e-design concept boards done by me. So I'm giving away 4 of those in the month of February, and those are valued at $850 each. And I am giving them away, and I'm happy to do so. So if you're watching this and you are on TikTok, make sure you check out my page over there, my profile 26 and O. and follow along. We are currently on week 2 of the giveaway from an interior designer giveaway, and I post every Monday the giveaway, and you have to answer those in the comments. You also have to subscribe to the YouTube channel, and you also have to subscribe or follow one of the Instagram pages, either the business page 26 in Oregon or the personal page 26 and O. You can follow both. I ain't gonna be mad at you if you follow both of them and answer the questions correctly. You do have opportunities to be entered up to 5 times in the same week. And then I spin the wheel on Sunday so that I can announce the winner so that that person can be happy going into the next week. And then I take 3 to 6 weeks to deliver on that after the monthly giveaway is over. So I'm really happy. We've already had one winner already, and that winner was really excited to enter. And they actually sent me a DM because I had made uh, a TikTok, and I was like, the question for the giveaway is hidden in this video, and so you have to watch the entire video to get it. Well, she answered the question correctly before I came back with that follow-up video. And she was like, no, 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 no. If they ain't listened to it the first time, I don't think you need to be reminding them because I want to win. And I was like, you know what? You're right. I really shouldn't do that. But in case people misunderstood how they were supposed to play this game, let me go ahead and reiterate it. So she did, and she got her extra entries in by, reposting and commenting on other videos after that. And lucky for her, she won. And I think I had probably about 25 entries. So out of 25, she won. And I'm really, really happy to be able to deliver on that. We have been contacted. She has shared her specifications for her space. It's going to be a bedroom. And I am going to be sharing that with you guys. So hopefully, when I share that in general, that will also be another way to give back, another way for you guys to see the ways that you can enhance your spaces. So, and it's also a way for me to share the 26 in Oregon design style. Now, granted, when I do e-design, it is a little bit harder because, these are people that are winning a giveaway. They still have to invest their own money into buying the things that I suggest. I still have to know what amount of money they're comfortable with spending so that I can specify and source things and send them links, a shopping list to those things that make sense. I can't just go willy-nilly and still put all of the things that I'd like to see in their home, but I can still put a little bit of a 26 in Oregon touch on it. Now, it is a little bit abbreviated than the essentials package, but primarily it is the essentials package minus a revision, right? So no revisions are included in the giveaway. What I submit to you is what I submit to you. And hopefully, if you have issues with that, you have at least a foundation for you to figure it out. Or hire me for real, to come back and finish it off. But I do plan on putting in all of the work and my best effort to make those spaces and those people happy and to be able to share those with you because I think one of the things that I want to start doing more is giving back because I have been given to. I have been given to the amount of people that have supported me and know my name, right? They know my name for who I am. And honestly, I don't know why that's making me tear up because it is. But there are people who, I mean, have been around since this channel started. And even when I went on a 4 and 5 year hiatus and maybe popped in 2 or 3 times. So even when my wife were going, we were going through a tumultuous time and I packed up ship and I moved out and I was, you know, voluntarily, not forcefully, living out of my truck for 3 days. It wasn't even 3 days. It was like a day and a half, 2 days, because I was just being very stubborn, and I just did not want to go back to the house. And we ended up selling that house because of that, our last house because of that, and not really knowing the direction and a level of shame and embarrassment because a lot of people named us and coined us as couples goals and while there were no cheating issues going on and no financial issues, there were personal issues that prevented us from connecting. And so couples goals was not couples goals. We were still very much so struggling with our own identities and the things that we had to let go and heal within ourselves. And us being together for so long, I was 25 and she was 29 when we met. And, you know, um, kind of like midlife happened. And so, like I said, the embarrassment and the shame and the people that stuck around even through that and still when we came back as if nothing happened, people were still rooting for us, and they were saying, I'm glad that you guys worked it out, and it's good to see you back in these streets, right? And I'm in a place where I can admit that happily now. Like, if it were not for those situations, I don't think that I would have grown in the ways that I have grown. Learned some of the resilience that I have gained or gained it. Um, Patience, for sure. Wisdom, and I'm 40. Lord, I don't even know how old I am. Am I 46? I think I'm 46. I'm 46. The wisdom that I've gained, and I'm not saying that we're couples goals now, but we are definitely in a much better space where we can articulate and communicate ourselves much better with each other. And yeah, but we're two women, so that is that dynamic there. So there's going to be fire. I got y'all Jimmy rigged up on this thing, but my leg was hurting being crossed. But so the dynamic of that right then and of itself comes with some catty territory from time to time. But it's a beautiful thing seeing her grow and evolve. We are both actually now in premenopause, so that is bringing a whole level of different challenges for us being in that space. But it actually hasn't been terribly bad. Other than, Michelle getting like tons of heat flashes, she hasn't been too moody. Her appetite is so up. So while I'm getting skintier, she is getting heftier, but we are both sweaty, hot messes most of the time at night. And so, there's that. But anyway, I really appreciate those people that have been there from the beginning, and they're actually seeing the evolution of where we are. Me not having hair to having hair, but naturally from me gaining the weight and losing the weight, and now being somewhat of a straight natural, but my edges still is gonna be my edges, y'all. I can't seem to have these sitting down and slick back, but y'all seem to love and respect me nonetheless. When my business launched, rebranded back in 22, many of you guys purchased from me, and I realized that the things on in my shop were not the cheapest things, and the shop right now is on hold because I do need to do a little bit more research, right? So the launch did really well, and I sold out of primarily everything. I've got a few things left, but also I have to reconsider the base and the reason that I started the shop to begin with, and why I started 26 in Oregon, essentially, or 20 or TF style homes, and taking that back to my college days when I really started doing interior design and decor. So that is on a little bit of a hold. So if you have the link, you can go look at the things that are in the shop right now, but I'm not actively promoting anything that is in the shop right now because I got other things on the table, right? So I am really, happy, for that opportunity. So part of me was like, yeah, let's do March Madness and do this giveaway. And whether people participate or not, I still feel good about offering it. And yeah, that's really it. That's that on that. I'm not going to force somebody to participate and win a design because how do I even know that my designs are your thing? Because they very well may not be, and that's okay. That is the beauty of individuality, right? And so that's that. My daughter is doing well. I couldn't ask for anything better. She has gotten married. My son-in-law, I love him. Hey Brooklyn, hey Andy. Um, my mom is doing well. You guys, y'all have seen her house. I've shared her house. She is over there living it up in her 70-year-old life, just doing all of the things, really not all the things. She's doing all the things in her house because my mom really doesn't leave the house too much unless somebody goes to pick her up because she's non-driving at this point because her anxiety is a little bit over the board, across the board. Plus, George is a little bit iffy. So she moved down here later in life, and it's a little scary. It's a little scary for me to be out here in these streets all the time, and I'm in my 40s. But so I do like to get at home. I like to go do what I need to do and come back home. But my mom is enjoying it. She's really living it up. Back in December, Both of our grandparents died. So Michelle's grandmother died on December 2nd, I believe, and then my grandmother died on December 17th. Um, and so we both had to travel back up north to attend funerals. And that was a beautiful thing too, because there were some relationships that we thought were, what's the word, irrevocably, irretrievably, whatever, broken. They was messed up, and those have gotten back on track. I think we all were able to stand in, especially me. I was able to stand in my shit, my wrongness, and be like, you know what? I did some things. I said some things that I should not have said, and I'm sorry for that. And I would like to extend the olive branch. You are under no obligation to accept it from me, but if you do, I will intentionally and wholeheartedly treat it with care, and I hope that you give me grace if I mess up again, because I'm a different person as you are, and we're doing this all over again. But it's almost like we picked up where we left off, and it's water under the bridge, and so that feels good. I feel good seeing my wife being able to step back into those relationships and feel good about it. I think those are some of the things that help replenish us and make us feel good. My family, being together for my grandmother's funeral, I saw, some things happen there between my mom and my aunt, and I hope that that continues to like just move forward and be just good. Like, none of us are getting younger. None of us have the same types of resources or abilities that we did once we were younger. And I think we all need people. We all need people, right? And when you realize that the people that we have, especially in our families, are not inherently bad people, they've done some things that have hurt us. We don't have to hold on to that. We don't have to keep that as part of our story. We don't have to wear that wound. You get what I'm saying? Like, let it go. And sometimes it's just as easy as that, letting it go and realizing that when those things trigger us again, to want to figure out why that is so. And oftentimes it doesn't have anything to do with the person that you think triggered you. It's really about our own internal work. And so um, that was beautiful. I know with my sister-in-law, my oldest brother's wife, about 11 years ago, maybe 10 years ago, might have been closer to 11. I did something that was just irresponsible and just kind of lowbrow of me. I, you know, told of a conversation. I was gossiping, child. I was gossiping. I ain't even gonna sit here and beat around the bush. I was gossiping, and when it got back around that I was gossiping, I just threw out some other things, and she was a woman about it. But she also dropped her own tea, and that pissed me off because I'm just like, wait a minute, you weren't supposed to do all of that, and drop that too. So I got pissed, and I hadn't talked to her in many years. I even stopped going to my brother's house because I was like, you know what? I disrespected his wife, and I'm not in this place to apologize to her. I know I was wrong, and I can't see myself going to her house, being up in her house just because my brother lives there, knowing that I disrespected her and I owed her an apology. So I was able to reach out to her and apologize. Now, she had already forgiven me and let it go. But even though people let those things go, I still have a personal responsibility to let people know that I'm sorry and that they were good to me and I was wrong and I needed to fess up to that and all of the things, right? So there are very few people now in my life that I consider myself at odds with. I mean, if I don't like you, I don't like you. Um, but more than likely, you're not anybody that I need to have in my life or in my circle at all. There are some people that were really important to me at one point in time, and I had to step back because there were some things about their character that I didn't like or appreciate, and I ended up getting blocked, on socials once they kind of figured I stepped back and I stopped responding, and good for them. Good for them for blocking me, for them to actually stepping across the line and saying, bitch, if you ain't messing with me, I'm really not messing with you. And you ain't gonna be peeking and not speaking. And I really had no intention of peeking and not speaking. I just really didn't know where I needed to go with that relationship. I was just putting it on ice, and I didn't have any words to articulate how I felt other than the fact that I ain't really like what I saw and how you was moving. And I don't know if I can have somebody like that in my life, considering um what a private life. I'm a publicly private person, right? So I didn't know if that gelled with me. I needed time to think about it. But they were like, "Yeah, you ain't got to think about it no more, bitch. You're out of here." And I was okay with that. I was okay with that. And I don't wish them any harm. I think that they are a beautiful person. They were meaningful in my life and very um uh they helped transform me in ways. So I was able to learn and grow. But one situation was just enough for me to be like, yeah, I don't know that that works for me. And they were like, well, you don't work for me. And they cut me off once they realized that I was riding the fence. And so they did what needed to be done. And I give them the utmost respect for that. So, um, yeah, that's really it. I mean, this is coming up on a 45-minute video, and I want to be able to get this out to you guys. Life is good. Thank you so much for that. Make sure you head over to the Kacey and M podcast. The first podcast, honestly, I think is really good. I mean, and I think it can only get better. Now, if you are sensitive to cuss words and your ears start burning, I don't have anything to tell you. All I'm going to say is we're all grown here, and a cuss word only has the power that you give it, right? It's just a word until YouTube says, if you don't quit cussing, we're going to, cancel you. So then we might straighten up then. But until then, we're just going to be our natural selves and continue to talk in that way. Shout out to my family, my mom, my Louise, my brothers, Nicholas, Joey, Josh, my sister Benita, my daughter Brooklyn, her husband Andy, my superior wife Michelle, her mom Cindy, and dad JT. Thank you all so much for being so supportive of us in general. We appreciate you, and honestly, we couldn't do it without you. So I'm going to go ahead and check on out and call it a day. Make sure, again, you follow me on all the socials, 26 over on Instagram. Make sure you do 26 on TikTok. You are subscribed here. If you're not, I don't know what you're waiting for. Subscribe and hit that bell. Leave me some comments and let me know how you like me coming to you in this style. I don't think I'll be able to do this too much, but let me know how you like it. Also, make sure you're following my daughter on her channel, Hooked on Brooklyn, my brother Nicholas on his channel, Genius Club. Go buy some stuff for my sister Benita at her Etsy shop, Jute and Jones, over on Etsy. I'll also make sure I'm linking all of these in the description box. Follow Josh over on TikTok at 1 billion streams and The Real Bobby OJ. So all of the family is doing all of the things, and I can't wait to continue to share the things that we are doing over here at 26 So love y'all. See you later. And thanks for watching. Bye.